What's up? I gotta say, I fucking love that. Every time I listen to that, the only thing that sucks about that is the music gets the stream copyright. But that's okay because I'm not monetized, so who cares? What's up, everyone? Lean back, Jared the Hut. Yes, this is lucky number 13. Let's see what happens today. And of course, Sean and Jason, how are you doing? And the ever intelligent, I was trying to think of an adjective there, Isaac, Mr. 556. What's up? And just to piss off Twitter, here's some liquid death. I don't know what side of that I'm on, but fuck them. Bruce, how you doing, man? When did you add "Welcome to the Rebellion" to your username? Watching the sun go down over Putin Bay. Well, we are going to try to do that tonight. We're going to do the whole lot of stuff to talk about. Obviously, the gift that is the deep state just keeps on giving. Sitting there, I came home from work today to the news that John Bolton has been indicted. We're going to go over that. I've got the indictment here. We're going to go over it. We're going to talk about what it means. Jason is going to say it doesn't mean anything because it's just a trick to make us think that something's actually happening. And cue the message from Jason in the chat. And Sean corrects me and says, no, put in Bay. Well, I don't know what that is. So educate me. But there's other stuff to talk about first. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is Jay's fault. So if y'all get angry at me, get angry at him. Because it is his fault that this is happening. Okay? This is 100% his fault. And I wanted to wait until there were more people in here, but it actually might be a good thing that there isn't. So give me a second because I have to find it on. Here it is. Anyone that watched Welcome to the Rebellion today, I apologize because you've already seen it. I've already listened to it because I was driving when Jay was talking about it. But this is 100% Jay's fault. So Kim Kardashian has a new TV show. For anyone that doesn't know, over the last 7 years, I believe, Kim Kardashian has been attempting to become an attorney. She is going through the process called reading the law. I think that's I believe what it's called in New York. I don't know if they have a different name for it in California, but it's basically how we used to do law school. There used to not be law schools. You would go and basically apprentice with a lawyer or a law firm, and they would teach you what you needed to know, and then you would hang your own shingle or, work there. And then in, I don't know, the 1800s, law schools became a thing. And now I have to pay $200,000 to go to law school. So if anyone wants to just give me money, I'd love it. So in fact, I don't even know if she's finished her thing. Kim Kardashian. So I believe she sat for the bar exam this year. I think California. Oh, okay. No, so she sat for the July bar exam. California doesn't release until early November, so we still have another 3 weeks. Honestly, it would be kind of funny if she failed and was making this TV show. I don't think she failed because here's the deal. If you're not nervous and you put in the time, the bar exam is not a difficult exam. Okay. If you know what you're talking about, it is an easy exam. The problem is the sheer amount of stuff that A, you have to know, and B, you kind of have to guess that they're going to test you on. I'll give you an example. Okay. So let's look at this instead of this little witch. The UBE essays. So the UBE is the uniform bar exam. And this is every bar taker's best friend. This is JD Advising's. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. JD Advising's chart that shows the frequency of topics on the UBE MEE, which is the essay exam. I forget what M stands for. This was my best friend because there were 2 topics that I did not want to have to. I can't zoom in anymore. Wait, maybe if here we go. So I took the July bar exam and the February bar exam. I passed on I missed the state that I wanted to be licensed in the July bar exam by 3 points, 2 points actually. So I took it again in February of 22 and crushed it. But when I was studying for the July bar exam, the one topic I did not want was secure transactions. It is both incredibly complicated and incredibly easy. It is difficult. It is insane. It is incredibly technical. And I have hated it since the very first day of class. So when we didn't have it on the July bar exam, I was very happy, but I knew that meant we were going to have it on February. So the best way to prepare for the bar exam is to do multiple choice question after multiple choice question after multiple choice question and to practice essays. That's the best way. If you want to pass the bar exam, you sit down for 3 months and you do multiple choice questions and you write essays. That's how you pass. Anyone that sits there and says you have to do all these programs, they're idiots and they're liars. You take whatever program your law school gives you for free, because most of them have a free program either with JD Advising has some, Barbary has some. Most of them have a free program. You take their book and you read through it if you want. Maybe you listen to some of the lectures. You know, if you have a topic that you're not very good with, like con law wasn't a great topic for me because there's 2 or 3 topics in con law that I just never understood. So you listen to those lectures. But other than that, you sit down, you read essays, you write essays, you grade yourself, and then you take multiple choice. That's how you pass. So if she did that, if she was prepared for, now the California bar exam is a little different. The California bar exam is, let's see, 5 1-hour essay questions and 1 90-minute performance test and 200 multiple choice questions. That's what it is. Ours, the UBE, is 6 essays. You get 30 minutes per essay. And then you have 2 MPTs, which are multi-practice tests, something like that, where you're basically given case law and a task, and you have to complete that task. So it could be you have a client that comes in and they want a will drawn up. They have 50% of it done, finish the rest. Here's what they want done. Here's how they want the house conveyed and all this stuff. And then you're given case law that tells you what the law is in that jurisdiction. Those are the more difficult things because you don't know what you're going to get. You can only practice so many different ways. And luckily for me, mine ended up being pretty easy. But the essays are really where a lot of people struggle in the bar exam. And honestly, I think it's because people don't spend enough time just writing. Because remember what they tell everyone when you're growing up in school, the best way to learn something is to write it, say it while you write it, and read it while you write it, because you're using 3 or 4 senses to do it. So you remember it better. So that's why, any good contracts student will sit there and write the same answer like 90 times. That's how you get it. But yeah, I think she probably passed. Again, like I said, it's not that hard of a test. I think she passed. It's going to be kind of annoying that she passed, because that means I share a profession with fucking Kim Kardashian. Jason asked, stupid question. If you fail the bar, how long do you have to wait to take it again? So it depends on what jurisdiction you're in. In some states, you can take it as many times as you want. In other states, you have to wait a certain amount of time after you pass it. So in my state, if you fail 3 times, you have to wait a full year to take it again. But you could take 3 times in a row. And honestly, with very few exceptions, if you can't pass the bar exam within 3 times, you probably shouldn't be doing it. I have a friend that, it'd be hilarious if he's watching right now. I don't think he is. But I have a friend that passed him the 4th time. But I don't really count the first time, because actually I think it was 3 times. I think he took a break in between 2 and 3. I can't remember. But I don't really count the first time, because he got super bad news basically the morning of the first day. So he was fucked. But here is, what's up, Lily? How you doing? Here is the trailer for Kim Kardashian's TV show about a law firm run exclusively by women. And I think, based off of what I heard earlier, it's a family law firm, or a divorce firm is what I think it is.
Boy, do I love coming here.
Which, first off, aren't shoulder pads out of date? Like, I thought shoulder pads stopped being a thing in like the 80s. Am I wrong about that, guys?
Boy, do I love coming here. Walking down that hallway shaped like a clown cervix. Beef curtains.
Okay. The most annoying thing in the world in regards to clothing is people that wear coats and don't put their arms in them. That is so annoying. They think it makes them look classy. They think it's like highbrow because of what like lords would wear in the late or early 90s. Early 1900s. It's not. It's dumb.
Black May West. As much as I'd love to continue to exchange pleasant cocktail pleasantries, there is a war to be won.
You better walk.
Really? Britney Spears?
Wow, it's you. Right this way.
You better walk.
You're the best divorce lawyers in town.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's the thing about family law. Family law attorneys don't give 2 shits about their let me tell you back. Divorce attorneys don't care about their clients. I have never seen less truthfulness, less caring, less genuine desire to do public good than when I practiced family law. It was some of the most conniving, disgusting stuff I have ever witnessed in the 8 years I've been involved in the legal field. And I do not doubt for a second that we're going to see all of that made to look like it's a good thing in this TV show. That's kind of funny.
I need you to tell us the whole story.
But
We got married when I was still an undergrad.
We were in love, and it was all perfect. Except for this one small thing.
I trusted him.
How
yeah, that really is Elizabeth Banks, isn't it?
happened to me?
She's not getting.
Men, they are terrified of women in power.
Oh my God, Glenn Close, are you kidding me? So here's my question, okay? Let me look at this list of actors and actresses. What's it called? All's Fair. Oh, so All's Fair in Love and War. So Glenn Close, Sarah Paulson. Let's see. I don't think I recognize any of these other. Naomi Watts. I know I've seen Niecy Nash, the black girl, in something, but I have no idea what I've seen her in. Let's see. Oh, I know what I seen her. Okay, so there is a TV show on ABC called The Rookie, and it was a pretty cool police procedural. So what's his name? What is his damn name? Come on. Nathan Fillion. Nathan Fillion is in this bank robbery in Pittsburgh where he's like a contractor. And then I think he gets shot during the bank robbery and he has like a midlife crisis, moves to LA, joins the rookie program, the academy, and the whole show, or the first 3 seasons, which were the good part, are him kind of going through that first year as a rookie. And one of the things that's so cool about it is they use a bunch of like body camera footage, or it looks like body cam footage, to show the show. And it's pretty cool. But she plays she's this like rookie FBI agent who has a very much similar thing like him, but she was a guidance counselor at school. And her introduction on the show is she tells all the men about how they're wrong about this guy because she knows him because she was the school guidance counselor. It's complete bullshit. And it doesn't surprise me that she's ended up on this show.
And women besting men in divorce? No.
Are you kidding me? He's in this?
No.
I actually like this actor. I can't believe he signed up for this bullshit. They must be paying him a buttload of money.
God, I love my job.
I tell my clients every day.
So, okay, I was going to say, we are a minute and 17 into this trailer, and we are just now hearing Kim Kardashian speak. But of course, their big thing is walking down that hallway shaking their asses.
I tell my clients every day. You never really know a person. It's just a trap.
Guess who's here with me right now?
Jay, say bye-bye to your future ex-wife.
Bye-bye.
See you in court, you poor discarded. Let's light her on fire.
This is showtime, lady.
I mean, if anyone knows about divorce, what is this, number 3 for her? Again, what are we wearing? I'll tell you right, I have never seen a female attorney show up to court and shit like that. I've also never seen a female attorney show up to the office and stuff like this. God, this is so dumb.
You are the victim here.
Also, I'm just gonna assume this is Kim Kardashian committing a felony on. I mean, this. She would be disbarred for doing this. She would lose her license. Sean, I do not practice law in LA.
You are the
Thank
victim.
God for me.
And every tear you shed is $100K in your pocket.
Only
Make it
100?
right.
Here there is
But again,
a safe word.
let's stop with the ass
You can't
shots.
tell us to stop.
Whoa.
You infertile, career-obsessed. Stand up straight and breeze into that room like a storm no one saw coming.
This is
Are
just.
not taking so much as a ballpoint pen out of this building.
Enough edging, counselor. Let us come already.
Jesus Christ!
11 War. Before you comment on my new appearance, please know that this look is mine. Nothing more than next Halloween's costume, where I will be dressing as a whore lawyer.
It took 2.5 minutes to make me laugh. Wow. What's up, Donna? Driving and lurking. Awesome. And yes, Ally McBeal for even dumber people. Though I will say Ally McBeal had a pretty good episode crossover with The Practice, which is one of, if not, which is either the second or the best attorney show ever made. It's a tie between that and Boston Legal, in my opinion. Yeah, that was terrible. That was that was just garbage. And so this is the thing I'm going to find so annoying about this is they're going to pin this up as the next like lawyer show, the next show that shows the female perspective of practicing law, and none of this is going to be accurate. Suits is more accurate. Actually, I will say they got the conniving lawyer part of family law pretty accurate. So, hats off to them. Breezy, what's up, bud? How you doing? Okay, so that was fun. I hope everyone's awake. Everyone hasn't clawed their eyes out for that, because that was truly, truly terrible. Ooh. Oh, this is awesome. The real Tomby is officially working on immigrating to the U.S. And that's immigrating with an E, not an I. Okay, where should we start? I don't want to start with, screw it. Let's start with John Bolton. Okay. So everyone remembers John Bolton, the stupid-looking guy with the mustache? What's up, Marianne? So John Bolton was Donald Trump's, national security advisor? Yes. Which, holy crap, I just learned something. National Security Advisor is the common title for the job Assistant to the President for National Security Affairs. I did not know that. We learn something every day over here. Okay, I'm going to move this over here so I can read it a little bit better. Oh, I am super bright. Man, I'm looking a little bit like those leaked text messages. A little too white. There we go. That's better. And we fall back down. There we go. Okay, so let's share this. This is the indictment on John Bolton. Something I would love to find out, and I don't know if anyone has found out yet. When was the Maryland grand jury impaneled? Federal. Okay. So, in the United States District Court for the District of Maryland, Maryland's not big enough to have multiple districts. The United States of America versus John Robert Bolton II. Okay. Off the bat, the most pretentious people on the planet called juniors the second. That is the most annoying thing I think I've ever seen. This right there. Boston Legal did the best job of poking fun at conservatives for liberals and was still one of the most watchable television shows on air when it was on. So the grand jury for the District of Maryland charges that the defendant, John Robert Bolton II, resided in Montgomery County, Maryland, and from the 1980s through 2019, served intermittently in a variety of senior U.S. government positions, from Assistant Attorney General all the way up to National Security Advisor. The role of the National Security Advisor varied by presidential administration, but generally, the NSA assisted the president in managing the National Security Council. I want the actual... I don't care what the job was. So, like I've said before, the reason they don't just say we are charging him with this is because they have to explain. It's sort of like anyone remember the Declaration of Independence? So the Declaration of Independence has a brilliant line in it that honestly defines and explains the majority of what an attorney does. So let me get over to it. American Crisis should be... Oh. Here we go. Okay. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. So what the founding fathers were saying there is that being polite and kind to the rest of the world who have never seen this happen before, we should tell them why we are separating from the mother country. I don't really have room on my desk for a tome. There we go. And that's what the first several of these paragraphs are going to be about, explaining to the world why he is guilty and laying out the definitions, basically. So, like this one, due to Bolton's need to have ready access to national defense information, including classified information, while serving as the NSA in or about September 2018, the U.S. government installed an accredited sensitive compartment information facility, also known as a SCIF, inside his home. The SCIF was approved for the processing and closed storage of classified information, including information classified up to the top secret level. After Bolton's term as National Security Advisor ended on or about September 10, 2019, the SCIF was decertified by the U.S. government on or about October 16, 2019. And from that date through the present, no location within Bolton's home was approved for the lawful storage of classified information. Now, the reason they're telling us that is because part of the indictment is that he was storing classified information. And what they're trying to say here is that he had this classified information in his house when they raided him. What was that, a month ago? And because a month ago is significantly after October 16th, 2019, he should not have had any classified information in his house. Well, because he did, this is why he's guilty of, which one is it? Give me 1 second. Retention of national defense information. Because he held on to these documents after he shouldn't have been able to have them. Let's see. Here we go. This is what I want. From on or about April 9th, 2018, through at least, which would be, when was John Bolton sworn in? John Bolton swearing in. So he served from April 2018. So from on or about April 9th, 2018 through at least on or about August 22nd, 2025, Bolton abused his position as NSA by sharing more than 1,000 pages of information about his day-to-day activities as the NSA, including information relating to the national defense, which was classified above the top secret SCI level, with 2 unauthorized individuals, namely individuals 1 and 2. And there's evidence they show in this about conversations between John Bolton and individuals 1 and individual 2. Bolton also unlawfully retained documents, writings, and notes relating to the national defense, including information classified up to the top secret SCI level in his home in Montgomery County, Maryland. Now, something I'll tell y'all right now. Every single person in the federal government or that has been in the federal government for the last decade is now scrubbing their houses. I guarantee you there will be, I don't know, let's say to Joe Biden probably has a pit fire going right now, burning documents he doesn't think he should have. Now, there isn't a doubt in my mind that there are hundreds, maybe thousands of people that are guilty of this crime, that are guilty of retaining documents they should not have. I'll give you an example. Okay. I know a guy who was in the Army, and I have no idea what he was. Let's say he was a lieutenant. Okay. He was in charge of platoon. And one day he had to bust a guy down because this guy came back from home with a pink piece of paper about that big. And on that pink piece of paper, it basically says, on October 3rd, 1980, we destroyed X. You know, they were out of the range. They didn't finish all their ammo, and so they had to destroy it because for some reason that's what they did. They didn't save it. They destroyed it. That pink piece of paper is classified information. I don't know what it's classified as. I don't know if it's top secret, above top secret, whatever. But it's classified information. And he accidentally took it home. Well, he comes back to the office. He tells his superior officer, this lieutenant. This lieutenant's like, fuck, dude, you really fucked up. I've got to report you. Doesn't seem like that big a deal, but it's the whole broken windows of everything. The world would be so much better if everyone treated their jobs and everything like the broken windows theory, okay? You have to police and arrest for the small things. Otherwise, you let the big things happen. If the federal government, if the Justice Department had actually maintained corrective order, had actually arrested people for breaking the law, had actually arrested people for breaking into this country illegally, then we wouldn't be in the mess we're in right now. So house prices would be skyrocketing. All the stuff that we've seen through the graphs released today showing that H-1B visas had been like 30% of the FHA loan market for the last decade wouldn't have happened. But they didn't do it. They said, you know what? That's not that big a deal. They let it slide over and over and over and over. And finally, you have a national security advisor who I bet you did not get into this world thinking I'm going to be the mole that ruins the president in 30 years. He probably got into this world thinking he's going to fight for what's right. But because he constantly saw this guy or this woman get away with committing crimes, he said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to start doing it. Welcome to my TED Talk. So this right here tells me individual one whose identity is known to the grand jury. Individual one either testified or there's evidence about who individual one is that they are not releasing into public documents. Now, as this case involves national security, I would expect us not to find out a lot about it. There's going to be a lot of evidence that we're not allowed to see. The jury is probably going to be sequestered. They're probably not going to be not the grand jury. The grand jury could be under a gag order for all we know. But the trial jury is probably going to be sequestered. They're probably going to be prevented from talking and under some sort of gag order. A lot of it's going to be private. We're not going to hear a lot about it, which of course makes me think that, Jason's going to be right about this. The other thing to remember is there's a big difference, and I'll kind of use me for example. There's a big difference between an attorney, talking to his wife or his girlfriend or his friend and talking about his day or her day and saying, yeah, I had this client that, he's just a completely stupid person. He doesn't deserve his kids. There's stuff that I've shared that I probably shouldn't have shared, but it's not identifiable information. Okay. You shouldn't be able to find out who the person is just from the information that I say. So there's a difference between that and then actually sharing government secrets. If Bolton is being indicted because he talked about how, I don't know, dumb the Pentagon was because they weren't able to pass their audit because they have a secret, $200 billion slush fund for something. Not that big a deal, in my opinion. But if he's sitting there saying, hey, Chinese counterpart, the plans for the invasion of Taiwan are these, it's a big fucking deal. Which I'm pretty sure Millie already shared with them. So that's the one that I'm waiting for. Sean said, if they get the case moved to another district, he's going to plead out. I mean, you can't really move it. I guess they could, but he's got a pretty favorable judge right now. He's got an Obama-appointed judge who has been not super critical of Trump. He has held, he's created a couple TROs stopping Trump 2 or 3 times. One of them was pretty big. I can't remember what it was. Was it a firing one? I think I bookmarked the tweet about it. Let me see. I did not. Damn. And I just got reminded about a whole bunch of other stuff I want to talk about. This is gonna be wild today. Let's see. From on or about April 9th through September 15th, 2019, which I believe is when he was fired, Bolton sent diary-like entries to individuals 1 and 2 that contain information classified up to top secret. Bolton wrote many of these diary-like entries by transcribing his handwritten notes from his day's activities into word processing documents, which he then electronically sent to 1 and 2 through a commercial non-governmental messaging application. The only thing that this kind of pisses me off about is, so let me rephrase this. This pisses me off for a lot of reasons, but one of the things that concerns me, and I think the indictments and conversations have to be very careful, because what I don't want, there is a difference between this and that. What was the app that Hesketh and a bunch of people were using? I'm gonna let chat answer that. Anybody? I know somebody knows. Y'all gotta make me Google it. No, it wasn't WhatsApp. Signal. Yeah, there you go, Jared. There you go. Signal. You are going to see people, and I'm making a bet with everybody right now. Okay. You are going to see people compare paragraph 11, in this complaint saying that Bolton sent top secret information to whoever individual 1 and 2 are over WhatsApp to the thing with Signal and the DoD group. You are going to see that connection made. I promise you. Do we ever? I doubt we get to know who individual 1 and 2 are. Let's get to here we go. Executive Order 13526 governed the classification of national security information in any form may be classified if it is owned by, is produced by, or for, or is under the control of the U.S. government. Could, if disclosed, cause one or more specified levels of harm to the United States, and 3 is classified by or under an original classification authority, OCA. Okay, don't really care about that. Then again, this is definitions. They have to explain why something is wrong before they can tell you what someone did. Okay. Information contained in these notes include detailed information that Bolton learned from meetings with senior members of the United States government. And so the only reason, Jason, I think it might not be at least China is they are known to the grand jury. At the very beginning, it says individual 1 and individual 2 who are known to the grand jury. So I don't think we would have. I don't know if we would have exposed that we know who the spies are yet. I think it's probably someone at least one of them, I think, is probably someone a little more closer to home. Let's see. I say let's see a lot, don't I? The notes that Bolton sent to individual 1 and 2 using his non-governmental personal email accounts and messaging account described in detail Bolton's daily activities as the National Security Advisor, including national defense and classified information that he learned during his time as the NSA. Often, Bolton's notes describe the secure setting or environment in which he learned the national defense and classified information that he was memorializing in his notes. For example, a description of classified information related to a foreign government's activities might begin with "the intel briefer said," or a description of classified information learned during a military briefing might begin with "while in the Situation Room, I learned that." The notes that Bolton sent to individuals 1 and 2 often began with the words "individuals 1 initials, individuals 2's initials start here." In at least one communication, Bolton also referred to I1 and 2 as his editors. I'm gonna start saying I1 and 2 individuals. It's just not. It's not working tonight. No, Jason, not really. When I say closer to home, I mean, like, I think one of them is going to be like a CNN person. Which, so this is interesting. Okay. Let's put on our tin hat for a little second here. Okay. What just happened in the last couple of days? Every single, with the exception of, I think, 2 news organizations, every single Pentagon reporter turned in their credentials because they refused to sign a new agreement. I'm going to go over that agreement as well. It's complete bullshit. Anything you've heard about it is bullshit. They refused to sign this agreement. And basically what this agreement says is, we are not going to clear your stories. But you need to know if you, or, well, we are not clearing your stories. You can write what you want. We are going to clear all the information that's given to you. If you receive information that you know you shouldn't have from someone else, you should tell us. If we catch you trying to incite someone to give you information you shouldn't have, you will be kicked out. That's what it said. That's the basics of that letter. And the craziness of what those dumbass reporters are claiming is beyond me. But with the tin hat on, isn't it kind of funny how this happens a couple days after that, and this is about unknown individuals to the public? I think one of them is going to be a reporter. On or about April 22nd, Bolton sent I1 and 2 via the non-governmental messaging application, a 25-page document which described information that Bolton learned while he was NSA. Diary finished. Going to call tonight. Hang on. On or about April 22nd, individual 2 sent Bolton and I1 a message that stated, "Diary finished." Individual 1 also asked I2 whether I2 was going to call tonight, to which I2 responded, "Am I supposed to?" I1 then wrote, "Diaries take time to write, but phone conversations take less time." This is. Has anyone ever seen the movie Breach with Chris Cooper? It was a movie about Robert Hansen, who is the worst spy in American history. he gave up millions, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of information to the Russians and the Soviets before that. And he's the reason that almost every single CIA asset in the KGB was killed. He set back international relations between the U.S. and other countries for years. And his messages to his Russian handlers, they read a lot like this. I wonder if it's just something about being a traitor makes you write like a crazy housewife. On or about September 23rd, Bolton sent I-1 and 2 a 10-page document which contained information that Bolton learned while NSA, including information classified up to top secret. Same thing, except it was secret level. Let's see. Do we have a request for punishment? Execution. Come on, execution. Oh, hang on. Let's see this. On or about July 6, 2021. So this is after he hasn't been in NSA for 3 years. A representative for Bolton contacted the FBI via email to alert the FBI that an entity believed by Bolton's representative to be the Islamic Republic of Iran had obtained unauthorized access to one of Bolton's personal email accounts. In the email to the FBI, Bolton's representative stated that evidently someone has gotten into A and B, Bolton's personal email account, and that it, quote, it looks like as though it is someone in Iran. On or about 28, Bolton's representative emailed the FBI again to report that Bolton and his representative have received the following email on or about July 25th. I do not think you would be interested in the FBI being aware of the leaked content of John's email, some of which has been attached, especially after the recent acquittal. Okay, hang on. Okay, we need to find out who was acquitted in July of 21. Trump acquittal, July 2021. Was this so? The second impeachment, he was acquitted in February of 21. July, I mean, that's not really recent. This could be the biggest scandal since Hillary's emails were leaked, but this time on the GOP side. Contact me before it's too late. So, Sussman. Now, that was 2022. Bolton's representative also told the FBI that the representative was, quote, just sending you the text, not the documents the hacker attached, since there might be sensitive information in them. A day later, Bolton's representative told the FBI that Bolton would be deleting the contents of a personal email account that had been hacked. On or about August 5th, Bolton received another electronic message related to the hack. Okay, John, as you want. Apparently, we'll disseminate the expurgated, holy crap, what is that word? Sections of your book by, what was the Vindman? Who the fuck is a Vindman? Oh, him. So Vindman, all his stuff was done by. Well, it's not in relation to this timeline wise, at least it'd be weird. if it was. At no point did Bolton tell the FBI that while he was the NSA, he had used the hacked email account to send I-1 and 2 documents relating to the national defense, including classified information, nor did he tell the FBI that the hackers now had this information. The FBI finds documents related to the national defense at Bolton's home. Okay, so this is based off of the what do you call it? The raid the FBI held. On or about August 22nd, 2025, the FBI executed search warrants and seized material from Bolton's residence in Maryland, an office in Washington, D.C. Part of the material seized from Bolton's Maryland home included electronic files showing that Bolton transmitted his diary entries, many of which were related to the national defense and contained classified information to I-1 and 2 through a non-governmental messaging application. During this court-authorized search of Bolton's home, I love how they add court-authorized. Like they are doing everything. Everything I've read in this, again, I've been skipping around, but everything I've read has done everything they can to not make this about Trump versus Bolton. Which, these guys. So we've done this a couple times. We've gone over different indictments or court documents, answers to motions, things like that, and I've usually been pretty critical of how they write. Writing is such an important job as an attorney, and there are attorneys whose only job is to write. We had one at one place that I worked who the only reason he was hired was because he could write really well. He was a bit of an oddball. He was kind of odd, a little weird, but he could write like a crazy person, or in a good way. So there are people whose their entire firm, there are firms out there whose entire job is to write appeals and to do appeals to, the Court of Appeals, the Supreme Court. So whoever wrote this complaint, this indictment, has done a very good job. What's up, Elaine? During the court-authorized search of Bolton's home on the 22nd, the FBI also seized hard copy printed versions of many of Bolton's diary entries, including documents that related to the national defense and contained classified information. Now, one thing I wonder here is we have diary right here, but it's not capitalized and it's also not in quotes. So I don't know if they're referring to diary as quite literally a diary, or if they're referring to the electronic stuff that he was doing that they talked about at the beginning. Because remember, they called that his diary, but they capitalized it and put it in quotes. So, I don't know if that's a mistake there, or if he's being literal and just talking about his diary. Some of the documents related to the national defense. Let's see. Okay, so some of the documents are described in counts 9 through 18. What's up, Wasp? How you doing? Great to see you here. Hit that like and subscribe. Let's see. So again, like I said earlier, this entire section right here, Bolton's public statements on the handling of classified information, all of this is supposed to be evidence to show that he knew how to handle evidence. That he knew how to handle classified information. And that he knew that storing that stuff was not how you did it. Because Bolton's going to argue that this is how everyone does. Everyone keeps, the secret Taiwan invasion plan in a banker's box in their bathroom. No, they don't. And they don't because you got on. You're not going to tell us what it was on? In a media. Okay. I'm going to assume it's CNN. And said, well, to me, I just can't even imagine opening a Signal chat group or a Telegram chat group or anything else. People say, but the communications are encrypted. Well, that's fine. We have the National Security Agency that has big computers chugging along trying to decrypt any system that we want to try to get into, and our adversaries do as well. The damage that's done is that we've shown weakness in our operational security, and our adversaries will try to exploit. What did we build the world's most secure telecommunications capability for, if not to use it on sensitive matters? And once you're on a secure telephone, a U.S. government secure telephone, you don't worry about the level of classification you're discussing. You're talking about an article in the morning newspaper or top secret code word items, and you're secure. When you're on Signal, did no one in the conversation for days ever say, maybe we ought to get off this and get back on a classified system? I'm just without words to understand how that could have happened. And again, this is used to explain that he knew that he's sitting here on March 31st, 2025, talking about how I would never do this. Well, you did do it. Here's the evidence. I saw that, Jason. I saw that. The original guitarist, right? Star Child. Another interview. I'm not going to read that. But what I want to see, okay. Paragraph 1 through 66 of the indictment are incorporated by reference as though fully set forth in herein. On or about the dates indicated below. The district. Let's see. So, approximate date of transmission. Hang on. Lawfully having possession of, access to, control over, or being entrusted with information relating to the national defense, which information the defendant had reason to believe could be used to the injury of the United States and to the advantage of any foreign nation, willfully communicated, delivered, and transmitted, and caused to be communicated, delivered, and transmitted, the same to a person not entitled to receive it, to wit, as indicated in the below counts. Bolton sent via his personal non-government email account and or his personal information related to the... Okay, so these are all things he was allowed to have. Document A reveals intelligence about future attack by adversarial group in another country. B reveals liaison partner sharing sensitive information with the U.S. This is going to be terrible. C reveals intelligence that a foreign adversary was planning a missile launch in the future, a covert action in a foreign country that is related to sensitive intergovernmental actions, sensitive sources, and methods used to collect human intelligence. D reveals intelligence about an adversary's knowledge of planned U.S. actions, intelligence about adversaries' plans for attack conducted against U.S. forces. I'm telling y'all right now, this one right here, number 4, if it's proven that that's I1 or 2 is someone, so let's say that this document is a plan about what SEAL Team 6 or DevGru Team Charlie or what's the Air Force's one? Force Blue or something like that. What they're going to do in a raid on September 5th of 2019 in Iran. Let's say that's what the document's about. If I1 or 2 is someone from Iran, number 4 is treason. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. Sharing information about a military action on a foreign country to that country is treason. There are 2 crimes punishable by death in the Constitution of the United States, and one of them is treason. Document E reveals intelligence on adversaries' leaders. It's not that big a deal, I don't think. Document F. So here's the thing. I was thinking that we were going to kind of read through these things, and they were going to be, not really that big a deal. Like, let's say one of them is... I'm trying to think. the receipt. Let's say one of them is we are buying 30 F-16s from Boeing. Not really that big a deal. But so far, most of this, I'm on number 6. Most of this shit is hurtful, very bad to have disseminated. There was covert action planned by the U.S. government intelligence confirming a foreign adversary was responsible by an attack. Reveals a covert action conducted by the U.S. government, a liaison partner country, and specific information about the action. Paragraphs. Okay. So these having unauthorized possession. So these are the documents that he should not have had, which tells me that these are documents that he would have gotten after he was fired, which means someone else is in trouble as well. Documents AV2 reveals intelligence about the future attack by adversarial group in another country. BV2 reveals liaison partner sharing sensitive information with the U.S. intelligence community. CV2 reveals intelligence that a foreign adversary was planning a missile launch in the future, a covert action in a foreign country that is related to sensitive intergovernmental actions, sensitive sources, and methods used to collect human intelligence. Let's see. Hang on. It was intelligence about an adversary's knowledge. U.S. forces plans for attack conducted against U.S. forces in another country. What's up, Hokies? How you doing? Sean, let's take a second. That is exactly right. Every day above ground is a good day. Reveals a covert action conducted by the U.S. government, a liaison partner, and specific information about the action. Here we go. Upon conviction of the offenses in violation of Title 18, United States Code Section 7793D and E set forth in counts 1 through 18, the defendant John Robert Bolton II shall forfeit to the United States of America, pursuant to this code, any property, real or personal, which constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to the offenses. If any of the property described above as a result of any act or omission of the defendant cannot be located, this is just saying that they'll have to pay. Kelly O'Hayes, United States Attorney. Ah, look at that. They redacted the 4-person signature. Yeah, so we're not going to hear a lot. Now, I wish Mark Reality was in here. Let's look at Comey's. This will tell me. Comey's in indictment. I'm looking to see if they redacted the Comey's, because if they did, then that tells me that's probably just something they do to all indictments. If they don't, then tells me it's not. This is just a press release. Let's see. I'm just trying to find the indictment real quick. I hate news websites are such bullshit, because you know that you're not going to actually be able to read the story. At this point, is there anyone that does not have classified docs? Do you know what? Fair point. Like, it really does seem, and that's kind of what Hokies, I think you missed it earlier. I was saying basically there are probably 1,000 fire pits going right now, not because it's cold outside, but because there's probably 1,000 federal employees who are out there throwing stuff into the fire pits that they shouldn't have. Or maybe they don't even know if they should have it. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just checking something real quick. Yeah. Shot says, I do not. Knowingly, anyway. Yeah, so this is kind of a crazy thing. I mean, we knew an indictment for at least Bolton was coming down the pipeline. I'm a little surprised that it came down after Comey's. I would have thought Bolton, because they raided Bolton's house in August, right? I mean, that's just 2 months. The government does move slowly. But I mean, this is kind of crazy, guys. So we've got Letitia James. Well, I guess she's not really part of that group. She's like new anti-Trump. So you've got James Comey, John Bolton. Is that it from the old guard? The old guard of the Trump hatred? I mean, I guess you could add Letitia James, but you have all. The thing that's annoying about this is they've done a really good job of making sure that any indictment, any police act, any of that looks to be politically motivated. And the thing that's going to suck is that Trump's DOJ is going to have a hard time getting over that hump, not only to any judge, but to a jury. You know, it's going to, I think it's going to be a little difficult to try to convince multiple juries that this is not politically motivated. New Jersey senator for bribery. Robert Mendez, sentenced to 11 years in prison for bribery, foreign agent, and obstruction offenses. This was in January. So this is actually assuming this was federal, which it is because it's Department of Justice, this is actually a Joe Biden DOJ case. I mean, a broken clock is right twice a day. Exactly. Nobody is above the law. And before we get into another little education thing, because I'm admittedly slightly scared about it, because it is quite complicated. Bookmarks. We have the very first Antifa-related terrorism charges on the Texas ICE attack. So these are terrorism charges that the DOJ has brought against the dude that shut up the ICE office. Texas Antifa attack. Let me see if I can pull up that indictment. Come on, readers, don't fuck me over. Give me the indictment. Come on, readers, you're a law website. Fox News has the damn thing. This is wild. And this is the stuff that makes me really distrust these news organizations. Is they'll tell us what it says, but they won't actually show it to us. It's one of the reasons why the Protestant Reformation happened, because the priests would tell us what the Bible said, but they wouldn't tell us how to read it. Fuck it. Let's see if Fox News has it. They've got some of the pages, but they don't have like a link to it, I don't think. Hey, look at that. Fox News has it. You know what? Again, every now and then a broken clock gets it right. They're less broken, but they're still a little broken. Okay, can I full screen this? Let's exit. Okay. Let me just make sure we're good. Okay. We're also going to move it over here. So, again, federal crime in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas. Fort Worth is in the north side of Texas. United States of America v. Cameron Arnold, also known as Autumn Hill, and Zachary Evans. The grand jury charges that late at night on the 4th of July, 2025, in North Texas Antifa cell of at least 11 operatives clad in black and donning masks, some of whom were wearing body armor and carrying firearms, attacked the Prairie Land Detention Center in Alvarado, Texas. I think I said that correctly. Hoagies, yes. Any indictment, any public-facing document will always be open to the public. Sometimes it just kind of takes a little difficulty to find. Whether or not you can find them on PACER, which is Public Access Court Electronic Records, I think. Or you go down to your local courthouse. It just depends on what the document is. Some documents are not public facing. Some are. Like most of the documents that's going to come up in the Bolt case are not going to be public facing. They're going to be national security concerns, so they're not going to let us see what the documents are. Now, what would be cool is if Donald Trump declassified a lot of them so that we could see them. But I doubt it. Tell us what it said. Some conditions apply. I like that. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security was using Prairie Land to house illegal aliens awaiting deportation. Members of the Antifa cell began shooting fireworks towards the facility and vandalizing vehicles in a guard shed. Alarmed at the presence of people near the facility late at night, DHS correctional officers inside the facility went outside to investigate. Other DHS personnel called local police for assistance. Within minutes, an officer from the Alvarado Police Department arrived on scene, stepped out of his cruiser, and began issuing commands to a black-clad figure running towards another black-clad figure holding a rifle. One Antifa member, co-conspirator 1, yelled, "Get the rifles." Hang on. So Cameron Arnold yelled, "Get the rifles." Seconds later, Cameron Arnold opened fire on the officers, striking the Alvarado police officer in the neck area as the unarmed correctional officer ducked and ran for cover. The wounded officer fell to the ground, but was able to return a few shots. I want to say his name. What's his name? Cameron Arnold. Cameron Arnold continued to fire additional rounds until his rifle jammed. Dumbass. The attackers then left the scene. Police arrested most of the Antifa cells shortly after the attack, many near the scene of the attack, including Zachary Evans. Police arrested Cameron Arnold the following day. Antifa is a militant enterprise made up of networks of individuals and small groups primarily ascribed to revolutionary, anarchist, or autonomous Marxist ideology, which explicitly calls for the overthrow of the United States government, law enforcement authorities, and that is a big deal. Now that you should, but you're attacking local law enforcement and you have to go get your rifles? Dumbass, I agree. Antifa adherents have espoused insurrection and advocated violence to affect the policy and conduct of the U.S. government by intimidation and coercion. Beginning in 25, Antifa adherents have increasingly targeted agents and facilities related to DHS, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, in opposition to ISIS deportation actions and the U.S. government's policy, on the removal of illegal aliens. Others in the Antifa cell looked to Co-Conspirator 1 as a leader. Co-Conspirator 1 also trained Antifa cell members on firearms and close-quarter combat. In the days prior to July 4th, the Antifa cell planned and coordinated the attack against Prairie Land using an encrypted messaging app. The goal of the attack was to not destroy U.S. government property and commit acts dangerous to human life, intended to influence the policy of the United States government and affect government conduct by intimidation and coercion. The definition of terrorism. As one member stated in encrypted chat, I'm done with peaceful protest and blue lives don't matter. Chair. Some Antifa cell members discussed logistics, previous site reconnaissance, and locations of security cameras at the facility. They exchanged a map of Prairie Land and the surrounding area that showed the locations of nearby police stations. They planned what materials to bring to the attack, including firearms, medical kit, and fireworks. One Antifa cell member, for example, said in one group chat that they would be bringing a wagon to hold armor and rifles. They did a really bad job of actually doing the attack. I mean, this sounds like they were pretty coordinated. And one cop shows up and you go, oh no! That's pretty fucking lazy and dumb, don't you think? How about that too? Yep. So ICE arrested a cop today. And I'll tell you what's so funny. I was reading this tweet. I saved it. Holy shit. Man, I didn't save shit. So ICE arrests this cop, and I'm reading this tweet, and it says DHS and ICE law enforcement arrested cop. And I'm thinking, wow, some cop was dumb enough to start fighting ICE? No. It was just a fucking illegal immigrant who has been illegally in the country for over a decade and said, I'm going to join the police, and they let him in. Fair point. Let's see. Co-Conspirator 1 told the group that they would use rifles to intimidate law enforcement, saying cops are not trained or equipped for more than one rifle, so it tends to make them back off. I don't know what TV show or movie shit you're watching, but that's a lie. Some members of the Antifa cell staged at a house on the evening of the planned attack. The members of the cell at Prairie Land that night were dressed in black bloc. What's black bloc? Black blot. Oh, is that just? Oh, it's just all black clothing. Okay. I guess that was probably a little obvious. They brought a total of 10 firearms to Prairland, 4 of which were purchased by co-conspirator 1. The firearm co-conspirator 1 used to shoot at the victim officer was an AR platform rifle that had a functioning binary trigger. I'm gonna get laughed at. What is a binary trigger? Fires. Double tap. It's 2 rounds per trigger action. One when the trigger is pulled and one when it's released. Okay. In and around June and July 25 in the Northern District of Texas and elsewhere, the defendants, Cameron Arnold, also known as Autumn Hill, and Zachary Evans, conspired and agreed with each other and other persons known and unknown to provide and attempt to provide material support and resources as those terms is defined in and conceal and disguise the nature of material support and resources, including property, services, training, yada, 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 yada. This is explaining why they meet the threshold of terrorism. On or about July 4th, 2025, in the Northern District of Texas, co-conspirator 1 aided and abetted by Cameron Arnold, also known as, so they're not, they're not naming co-conspirator 1. He's not Cameron Arnold. So what is that one next to Cameron Arnold for? I don't know what that's there for. Also, Zachary Evans and others known and unknown did, with malice and forethought, unlawfully attempt to kill correctional officer 1, a federal officer, an employee engaged in and on account of the performance of his or her official duties. I'm telling you, you can bypass the terrorism charges. Okay, the terrorism charges are, in my opinion, just to just fan the flames. I think there's a decent chance they get thrown out. Okay. But with the evidence that they have, there is no way in hell that you throw out count 2. Count 2 is going to send them to the fucking chair. Count 3 attempted murders of, count 3 is going to send them to the chair because 2 is, oh no, it is. Is it 2 counts of this? 2 counts of this. Which again, copy and paste and then just change 1 to number 2. 3 counts of this for the local Leo. Count 5, discharging a firearm during, in relation to, and in furtherance of a crime of violence. On or about. So I wonder what. So this is, in my opinion, the obvious guilty. Like you could have people say, like, I don't think we should convict him for this or this or this. Those people exist in this world. Okay. This is absolutely something that happened. There's no question of fact for this. So what is, it is Texas though, Jason. I don't know what the federal court system looks like in Texas, but it is Texas. What is the maximum and minimum punishments? Let's use that. Punishments for violation of 18 USC 924 C1 A III and 2. Let's see if Grok pulls that up for me. I'll be kind of impressed. And while it's doing that, it's taking a while to think here. Northern District of Texas federal judges. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 federal judges in the Northern District. Chief Judge Reed O'Connor. Biography. Appointed by George W. Bush. Sam A. Lindsay. Appointed by Bill Clinton. Ed Kinnigan, George W. Bush. Glenn Scholar, Donald Trump. Matthew Kaczynski, Donald Trump. Mark Pittman, Donald Trump. James Hirthy, Donald Trump. Brantley Starr, Donald Trump. Ada Brown, Donald Trump. Senior Judge A. Joe Fish, Ronald Reagan. Senior Judge Fitzwater, Ronald Reagan. Senior Judge Cummings, Ronald Reagan. Senior Judge Means, George H.W. Bush. Senior Judge Godby, W. And Senior Judge Boyle, W. It's a pretty red fucking bitch. So Sam Lindsay was the only one appointed by a liberal. And again, I mean, Clinton was a bastard is a bastard of a person, but at least he gave Trump the credit he deserved. So Grok finally gave me answers. So first offense, discharge of a standard firearm, 10 years is the minimum, maximum is life imprisonment. Short barrel rifle or shotgun, semi-automatic assault weapon, machine gun, destructive device, or silencer muffler, 10 to 30 years at the minimum, depending on the firearm type. Life imprisonment is the maximum. So here's the thing. This count alone, 10 years to life. And again, this is 2 people that they are charging. And I'm wondering if co-conspirator 1 is just an unnamed co-conspirator. Maybe this person has flipped. Same count. So that's 20 years at minimum right there. I don't even have to look at the murder ones. They are 25 to life. Count 7, 3. Well, I mean, Glock and Beretta would be the same class of weapon. You know what? That's a good question. That's a really good question. I don't have an answer. Why is Nancy Larson only an acting U.S. attorney? Hang on. I want to find out about this. U.S. Attorney, Northern District of Texas. I'll tell you what, I'm disappointed that more people aren't here because I actually think I'm doing a very good job tonight, much better than like the last 2 or 3 streams. So I wish more people would be able to see this one. I feel like I've been doing pretty well. Little pat on my back there. Why is she only acting U.S. attorney? Has the Senate not voted on her? Nancy Larson. Senate confirmation of Nancy Larson. Career federal prosecutor, 30 years. That's pretty impressive. So she actually hasn't been, She was appointed. Huh. So, nomination and appointment as acting U.S. Attorney, acting United States Attorney for the Northern District, which covers 100 counties in North Texas, including Dallas, Fort Worth, and Lubbock. Appointment date, May 29th, 2025, by Attorney General Merrick B. Garland. Following the resignation of previous May 29th. That's not right. Pam Bondi was Attorney General in May, wasn't she? I still can't believe she's only 59. Or that she is 59. Yeah, she's been the Attorney General since February 5th. Okay, let's look up fucking Larson. But it's not that big a deal. I'm just curious why she hasn't been appointed yet. If she hasn't been appointed, that's kind of crazy. I appreciate that, Lily, but I definitely don't. The last one wasn't great. I'll be honest there. Mea culpa. Wasn't great. Yeah, so that is going to be the first attempt to charge members of Antifa with federal terrorism charges. Again, it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be difficult to charge American-born ones with terrorism because there doesn't really exist we saw the thing like a month and a half ago where Trump said that I've designated them a local terrorist organization or something like that. That doesn't really exist. Most terrorist organizations, and that's why people like Legal Mindset and others were saying so many times, hey, you need to designate them a foreign terrorist organization, FTO, because those have legal definitions. They have actual reasons why you go after them. And not only that, but then you can go after their funding and all that stuff. So, and Hoagies, you're right. Domestic terrorism is still terrorism. Absolutely. But it's going to be interesting to see the arguments that their attorneys make. It would not shock me if the terrorism charges are thrown out. But again, count one is providing material support to terrorists. And count two, so this is still only like a side quest into getting them on terrorist charges, because they're charging these two, Cameron Arnold and Zachary Evans, with providing material support to terrorists. They're not charging them with terrorism. They're saying you helped the terrorists. So I think you're going to have to prove that they are members of Antifa. And then their lawyers are going to attack the FTO designation. And if that stands, if that gets upheld, and again, look at all the judges in North Texas, a lot of Donald Trump judges, all of which have aspirations to Court of Appeals, Supreme Court. We'll see. It's going to be interesting, guys. Let's see. Is this the one? There's one thing that I saved and we're going to get into the crazy thing that we're going to talk about. Okay. Tim Burchett, Senator Tim Burchett, right? Yes. No, he's a representative. United States representative out of Tennessee. Which, by the way, okay, we're going to take just a little bit of, we're going to add a little bit of happiness to this. Okay, so Tim Burchett shared something. Let me see if I can find it. No, you know what? I liked it. Let me pull up my profile on Twitter because I did like it. So I should be able to find it there. There we go. Okay, this was extremely heartwarming to me. You know that kind of tale as old as time, that they're all actually friends. They don't hate each other. This is all show. Jason can throw 1,000 messages in the chat about all of that. I tend to agree. There are things that I disagree. I do think that you can have ideological differences and still be polite and nice. And this is one of those examples. I'm serious. I almost shed a tear to this. Representative Tim Burchett, Republican in Tennessee, on Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I can respect a liberal. I respect Cortez. She's my buddy. I mean, she's a Marxist. She's a friendly neighborhood Marxist. I always call her. I say stuff to her. She'll get on one of my videos while I'm walking off the floor of the house, and I'll say, "Hey, Cortez," and she'll go, "Hey, Burchett." And I tell people, don't look at her too long. She'll steal your soul, which I feel like is like an insinuation of like the Siren song, which is kind of funny if you know about the Odyssey. Steve Cohen, probably as far left as you can be. You know, he's Jewish, and I try to be a Christian. We came from Tennessee together. We raised the speed limit together, and we were I always joked we'd go out to eat dinner at night because he was so far to the left and I was so far to the right, we'd meet on the other side. But honestly, sometimes I just want to scratch his eyes out, you know. But he called my mama when my daddy died, and you can't get past that. And I fucking agree with that. You can sit there and hate what someone stands for, but the respect and the actual love it takes to believe that something like that is more important than whether or not you have an R next to your name or a D next to your name is beautiful. And I'm serious. The first time I read it, I almost cried because I can just hear him saying that. I don't know if it was the southernness of it at all, but I just found it beautiful. Okay. We're going to move on to righteous indignation. I hate the way Twitter works sometimes. Okay, so Tim Burchett, that's where we were. Cornboy says, I could never say the same about foreigners like Ilhan Omar, though. So here's the thing. I probably agree with you. But if Ian Omar called me on the day that my mother died, I'll give you an example. There was a guy in high school that bugged the shit out of me. I could not stand him. He was so freaking annoying. He would disrupt class. He wasn't like a bully. He was just obnoxious and dumb. But he showed up to my mother's funeral. And that's it. Never thought another bad thing about it. That's what's missing from the world today. So, and I don't know, Cornboy, if that is contradictory or agreeable to what you said. But that's just where I am. Like, there's a lot of people that I cannot stand, but if you are polite and willing to discuss it, then fine. If you're not, shut the fuck up. So, Amy Klobuchar, remember, one of the people responsible for setting up the inauguration who attempted to make Trump look bad, tweeted, President Trump is meeting with the president of Argentina instead of meeting with congressional leaders to end the shutdown and prevent healthcare premiums from skyrocketing. $20 billion for Argentina, but no money for American healthcare. You know what? How about this? Y'all set a booby trap in a law that you passed that you didn't even fucking read 13 years ago so that you would have a reason to campaign on it 13 years later. This is the same shit with abortion, the same shit that Republicans and Democrats do with gun rights. They do nothing, or they set up traps so that they can make their entire campaigns about it 5, 10, 13, 15 years later. And I'll give you another one. And the only reason I haven't really said anything about it is because I'm hoping it was just an attempt to get it passed. But all the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, that shit's supposed to expire in 5 years. Coincidentally, right when they're supposed to start campaigning for another set of midterms. So I truly believe that they set it up to expire so that they could get it passed and then come in 2 years when they have a much stronger Republican Congress so that they can make it permanent, but it's still set to expire. Let's not act like Congress did something truly right and brave for the American people. They didn't. But Tim Burchett is right on this, completely correct, when he says, you're misdirecting, Senator. As you know, Donald Trump does not have a vote, which again, all these people continue to blame Trump. Trump is not a senator. Trump cannot vote on these continuing resolutions. You do. Stand by your vote or get the fuck out of the way. What say you, chat? Sean says, I think that all laws should have sunset clauses and no law should be passed without one. Yeah, Lily, they did that last time with the tax cuts. They did with the Bush tax cuts. Every time they have tax cuts, they put sunset clauses. And I get why they exist. I don't think that if you're going to do a net good for the American people, I don't think you should have a sunset clause. I think this should just be permanent. Because the problem is, and I'll go back to real estate here because this is what I really know. So when you buy new construction, okay, that house, I want to hang on. No, let's not do it this way. Let's go Google Maps. And let's go to Texas. I'm sure there's some new construction in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Yeah. Oh, wow. I went straight to it. Okay. Let me just make sure. Okay, we're going to do it this way. Okay. Remove, share. Nope, that's the wrong button. Share. Window over here. Okay, this should work. Okay, so this is new construction, okay, somewhere in Texas. So when The guy that buys this lot right here on the corner of Snowbird Way and whatever this road is going to be, when this guy buys this lot, this house, he's going to get what's called a holy shit, what's it called? A shock payment. Okay. So when you buy this house in July of 26, 27, the taxes are going to be set up for land because right now it's land. And the county isn't going to say, hey, the house is worth $400,000. So let's go ahead and set up your escrow account for $400,000. That's not how it works. The title company or the law firm says, hey, we're going to take the sales price, we're going to multiply it by the tax rate, and that's how we're going to set up your escrow account. Now, some companies don't do that. Some lenders won't do that. They will just say, okay, we're going to take the parent parcel, which is all of this land that you see that is brown. We're going to take the parent parcel. We're going to take the property tax on that. Let's call it $90,000. We're going to divide it by however many lots, 100, and that's how we're going to set up your escrow account. The problem is your escrow account gets set up for $20 a month, so your monthly payment is, let's call it $2,000. But then the next year, when the property tax actually gets done, your lender gets a bill for that property tax for the house, not the land, and your payment goes up by $1,000 because now it's based on a $400 house, not a hundredth of 90 grand. So that's called a shock payment. What I don't want to see is Americans ending up with shock payments because politicians are dumbasses. See how I brought that back around? I think that was pretty cool. There we go. Exactly. Okay, let's go on to the meat. So the Supreme Court met yesterday. So yesterday started the first set of oral arguments for the United States Supreme Court in their 2025-2026 session. And boy, did they start with a fucking doozy. Holy crap. So they heard a case out of Louisiana. I'm going to pull up some notes that I took. They heard a case out of Louisiana that is going to decide whether or not Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, and let me pull up Section 2. I want to pull up the actual text. Where's my phone? Oh, it's over there. No voting qualification or prerequisite to voting or standard practice or procedure shall be imposed or applied by any state or political subdivision to deny or abridge the right of any citizen of the United States to vote on account of race or color. Now, the purpose of this section of the act was to eliminate poll taxes, grandfather clauses. Those were the two big ones. So it was basically, or in the Jim Crow South, you would have people that said, in order to vote, you have to pay $10. Well, that keeps people who don't have $10 from voting. Or in order to vote, your grandfather had to be a freeman. Well, that keeps a lot of people whose grandfathers were still slaves from being able to vote. So this section was added to make sure that didn't happen. Now, in what was the case? Hang on one second. Let me find it. Can't find it. Oh, well. There was a case in. Oh, is this it? Hang on. No. There's a case in like the 60s or 70s, I think, that basically said you cannot and I don't think it was the gerrymander case. You cannot gerrymander to exclude minorities out of their ability to elect someone like them. It's basically what it said. The problem is we are no longer in 1965 America. And it's one of the reasons why Section 5, which created the formula that said if you are one of these 11 states, just so happen to be the Confederate States of America, if you're one of these 11 states, if you pass a voting law, that law has to be approved by a tribunal in D.C. or the United States Supreme Court. Thanks to second. Shelby Counter v. Holder, a case tried by the South Carolina Attorney General, thanks, Alan Wilson, who's currently running for governor. Thanks to that case, that entire thing got thrown out. Now, there's still a bunch of bullshit in the Voting Rights Act, but a lot of it's unenforceable because the formula that they came up with is no longer enforceable. They can't use it anymore. So a bunch of the Voting Rights Act is actually not enforceable. So this, what's up, Stephen Brown? What's up, Wiley? How y'all doing? Am I seeing the whole chat? No. So this case is trying to take basically a sledgehammer to the Democrats' entire plan in the South and honestly in a lot of other places. So they already struck down a little bit of it in actually, I think it was another South Carolina case. Yeah, Alexander v. South Carolina NAACP. Okay, I'm going to try to remember how all this went down. Okay, so the state of Louisiana redistricts in 2021 or whatever, and they have one black district, basically New Orleans. A bunch of black people in Louisiana sue, claiming that they have they've drawn the district lines to prevent black people from electing someone that they want in another district. A federal court agrees and tells them to redistrict again. They redistrict, creating what I think was Senate Bill LA2, I believe. No, that's the district. I don't know. Let's call it Senate Bill 8. It's something like that. It's a low number. And then a bunch of white voters in Louisiana sued, claiming that was a violation of the anti-discrimination clauses in the 15th Amendment. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Shaw v. Reno. It was a case in 1993 that struck down districts drawn primarily on racial lines as violating the Equal Protections Clause. So again, we have Supreme Court precedent that is 32 years old that shows that drawing districts based on race is wrong and unconstitutional. Yet here we have a federal court telling Louisiana you have to redistrict again because you don't have enough black districts. And the part of the problem here, and I'm gonna pull up some of the oral arguments that were held, and I don't think I can get copyright for that, but it'll be fun to find out. Part of the arguments that the defendants are claiming is that in order to, how do I phrase this? I know how I want to phrase it, but it's not YouTube safe. In order to fully represent the will of people in Louisiana, they need to represent black people more than they do white people. That's the basics of the argument, because they're still living in 1965. They still believe that because Louisiana historically discriminated against black people, that they deserve a stronger chance to elect people that they want to elect. And they see groups of people as voting blocks to win rather than to reach the actual voter themselves. So the first one that we're going to start with is our favorite Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson. So this is her arguing with Louisiana Solicitor General Benjamin Aguinaga. Share this. And we're not going to listen to all of them. I just think some of it's really funny.
I don't understand why your answer to Justice Kagan's question about is this a compelling state interest is no. The answer is obviously yes, that you have an interest in.
Now again, in order to pass a law that could violate a constitutional right, depending on the right, it has to pass certain levels of scrutiny. If it is a fundamental right, like voting is, most enumerated, which means written in the Constitution, actually written, not read into by a Supreme Court justice, most enumerated rights are fundamental rights. The right to vote would be one of them. So it has to pass strict scrutiny, which means it has to be a, what did she say?
Have an interest in remedying. Interest in.
Shit.
Is no. The answer is obviously yes, that you have an interest in.
That they have a compelling state interest in remedying whatever bullshit she's about to say.
Remedying the effects of racial discrimination that we identify using this tool. Whether you go too far in your remedy is another issue, right?
Your Honor, I think step zero in all of these cases, it was certainly step zero in the Robinson litigation, is the plaintiffs came in and said, we want another majority black district.
I thought they came in and said, we are not receiving equal electoral opportunity because our votes are being diluted.
Which is the same way of saying we deserve a second.
No, it's not, because that, again, just trust me on this.
Oh, yeah, this is that one. Trust me. Trust me. Just trust me on this. Yeah, you know what I have to say to that?
He's a stupid son of a bitch.
Good old Trump.
The second electoral or second district is a remedy that one could offer for a problem that we've identified. And the whole Robinson litigation was about identifying the problem. Is this really happening? In many, many Section 2 cases, the court says, you're wrong, you're fine. There is not an electoral opportunity being denied to you.
So my problem here is she says, quote, in many Section 2 cases, the court says, and usually when, and I think she's doing it here as well, that's court with a capital C, which means the Supreme Court. And there are very, very few Section 2 cases that make it to the Supreme Court. That is plenty from her there. Which one was this? Oh, apparently she storms out of the building on this one.
Interest to identify areas in which that problem is occurring.
Your Honor, of course, as this court recognized in SFFA, states can remedy intentional
No, I'm not talking about the
discrimination.
remedy. I'm talking about
identify.
Identify.
Of course.
All right. So if I'm right that Section 2 is about identifying the problem and then requiring some remedy, I don't understand why your answer to Justice Kagan's question about is this a compelling state interest? Okay. I thought they came in and said we are not.
Right, and the problem, Justice Jackson, that the Middle District identified was not intentional discrimination, and in fact, I think
why
when I
do you
hear
need
my
intentional discrimination to remedy a problem like the one that I've identified?
Because if you're going to use race the way that the Robinson appellants want the court to use race in drawing a second majority minority district, you've got to have a compelling interest.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Chief Justice.
Thank you, counsel. Mr. Grime?
Jackson.
Wait, so
I don't hear storming out. So it sounded like she stormed off. No, that's a lie. But it does remind me of this chart. She does not shut up, does she? What year was this? Was this last year? Yeah. Honestly, the thing that's even funnier is when you look at the chart on a line graph going down from most to least, it makes it even funnier. This doesn't make it look as bad as that one does. Okay, so this is Justice Thomas. And this is Justice Thomas on okay. So this, remember when I said SB something? It's SB 8. SB 8 was the bill that made that map the districts for Louisiana. So let's listen to this.
What role did Robinson play in the development of SB 8?
Which again, okay, that is Justice Clarence Thomas speaking. This is a rarity. Remember, when the ACA was being litigated, the Affordable Care Act, it was the first time, and someone fact check me on this, I might be wrong, but it was the first time in like 4 sessions, it's 4 years, that Justice Thomas actually spoke. He interrupted someone, and everyone looked like, holy shit, he's going to talk. Like it genuinely was. It was incredible.
Justice Thomas, Robinson is the only reason SB 8 exists. We fought tooth and nail in the Robinson litigation itself in telling the courts that.
All right, let me figure out which one Robinson is. Okay, I'm pretty sure that is the lawsuit that changed the first map. Holy shit, I spelled Louisiana correctly. No, I didn't. Never mind. Yeah, it was Robinson v. Landry. It was challenging Louisiana's new map, which Louisiana lost, and that's why SB 8 exists.
We did not think the Constitution permitted us to draw a second majority black district. As you know, under protest, we drew SB 8 because the threat was that the federal courts were going to do it if we didn't. And that's, I mean, I think that's the best way to conceive of why SB 8 exists. We would never pass SB 8 in the first instance without Robinson, Justice Thomas.
What were the findings in Robinson?
The finding by the Middle District in Robinson was that the plaintiffs in this case were likely to show a violation of Section 2 And the likely violation, and I'm using very broad terminology because I do not know what the underlying violation is. I can't articulate that for you, Justice Thomas, because I don't think anybody can. But I think the finding in the district court's mind in that case was that the likelihood of a Section 2 violation meant that a majority black district was required, a second one. And I think like that was the bottom line.
So what he's saying is in the Robinson case, which is the original case that made the original redrawing of the districts illegal, which is what forced them to do SB 8, which is what created the second majority black district. He's saying that the courts basically told them, the federal court basically told them, if you don't do this, if you don't draw this second black majority district, we will. And obviously, at this point, Louisiana is sitting there, and they went from a 5-1 Republican state to a 4-2 Republican state. And I'm sure at this point, one of the ideas that is going on in that state is, okay, well, we need to prevent this from being as damaging or damning as possible. So if we redraw it, we can make sure that they have that second district, but we can do it so that it doesn't really harm the other districts, which used to be really hard to do because it used to quite literally be one person, one vote, which meant if you, which meant every representative had to represent either the exact same number of people or within like a very small differential. Now it's very different. You have some representatives that represent 20,000 people. You have some representatives that represent 180,000 people. It just depends on how your state drew your district.
And when our legislature saw that, we understood the marching order, and that's why you see SB 8 as it exists today.
Just briefly, what were the findings that led to that?
I will say, Hokies, in both ways. Okay, let's not pretend that Republicans don't gerrymander. They absolutely do. Democrats gerrymanders too. Everyone gerrymanders. The problem is that Democrats force gerrymandering based on skin color, which is an extreme violation of the 15th Amendment. And that's honestly, that's the question that's going to be answered by the Supreme Court in probably. So I hope it's going to be June, because June is when they drop like their crazy decisions. But with this being the very first one, I mean, this could be decided by March, maybe even before that.
Please.
Well, Your Honor, running through the preconditions and the totality of the circumstances, I mean, I think the totality of the circumstances did most of the work for the Middle District in Robinson. Senate Factor 1, the official history of past discrimination, Justice Thomas, we can never outrun the bad era of poll taxes, of grandfathering.
Yeah, and again, this is what he's talking about. He's talking about all the things that are in that act that are bullshit now. There's no reason to sit there and use the past sins that are 60 years old to govern how states today exercise their constitutional rights as states. The state of Louisiana should not have to justify a law because of how the governor's great-grandfather hated what somebody looked like in 1952. It's bullshit.
Other clauses of literacy tests. I think we're always going to lose across the board.
Oh, that was the other one, literacy test. You had to prove that you could read. No, Hokies. Are you talking about in general? Are they going to hear that case, or is that what this case is about? Because no, I don't think they're hearing that. I don't think that's even being litigated.
That kind of analysis, and that's what the Middle District in Robinson focused on, is how bad was Louisiana in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and add all that together, and at the end you have a vote dilution finding that I don't think is clearly articulable in the way that SFFA requires a finding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, When are we going to? When are we going to stop? Punishing. When are we going to stop being punished for what our grandfathers did? We don't say things and do things to Germany because of what they did in 1917 and 1945. Not all of us do, at least. Okay, so this is the NAACP lawyer. Apparently, she says the quiet part out loud.
That's right. And in the state of Louisiana, that analysis was conducted in the Nairn case. And it was clear that regardless of party, white Democrats were not voting for black candidates, whether they were Democrats or not. And we know that there is such a significant chasm between how black and white voters vote in Louisiana that there's no question that even if there is some correlation between race and party, that race is the driving factor.
Can you comment?
Okay, so let me I'm going to try to pull on my bullshit detector and explain this. Janai Nelson, arguing before the United States Supreme Court, the most august body on the planet, is saying white Democrats don't vote for black people, so black people need more districts. That's what she's saying. That's bullshit. That blows my mind that she would say that. I mean, that is just insane. Well, Stephen Brown, do you remember what who signed the Voters' Rights Act? You remember what Lyndon Johnson said when he signed the damn bill? Ooh, okay. This is the disabled people line. I haven't heard this one yet. I've heard some of the other ones. I haven't heard this one.
I guess I'm thinking of the fact that remedial action, absent discriminatory intent, is really not a new idea in the civil rights laws. And my kind of paradigmatic example of this is something like the ADA. Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act against the backdrop of a world that was generally not accessible to people with disabilities. And so it was discriminatory in effect because these folks were not able to access these buildings. And it didn't matter whether the person who built the building or the person who owned the building intended for them to be exclusionary.
Okay, so far, I get what she's saying. So far, she's trying to equate the reason something was done with it being done. She's trying to say that Congress passing the Voting Rights Act is like Congress passing the ADA because the circumstances were the same. She's not equating them. So far, I get it, but there's still 40 seconds for her to hang herself in.
That's irrelevant. Congress said the facilities have to be made equally open to people with disabilities if readily possible. I guess I don't understand why that's not what's happening here. The idea in Section 2 is that we are responding to current day manifestations of past and present decisions that disadvantage minorities and make it so that they don't have equal access to the voting system, right? They're disabled. In fact, we use the word disable in Milligan. We say
she actually did say it. Hand to God, I thought Eric, what's his name, was just completely bullshitting us. I did not think she actually said it. She is a black Supreme Court Justice of the United States. She is the third black Supreme Court Justice, and she has the balls and the audacity to declare black people disabled. You remember what happened when Barack Obama got on stage and told Black America, if you are not with me, you are against me. If you're not going to vote for her, then you are voting for your own destruction. Remember when he did that and they didn't vote for her? Here it is again. I'll tell you what. Nope. We're just going to keep my fucking mouth shut. Not saying a damn word. Holy shit. She actually said that. Let's see. I saved a bunch of these. Some of them I don't really feel like going over, but I just want to see which ones they are. Same. Oh, those are two of the same ones. And that's the same thing that I already listened to. All right. That's okay. I do want to laugh at this. And then this is gonna be it. And I'm gonna try to get y'all to help explain something to me because I am confused about something. I'm sure everyone's already seen this, but this is Kamala promoting her book 107 about the 107 days that she had to run for president. And she looks fucking drunk.
That is a decent, that is
fucking hell. Okay, let's turn that down.
That is a decent, that is a decent resume, but go ahead.
But there, well, some people have actually said I was the most qualified candidate ever to run for president.
Oh, there we found the cuck. We found the cuck. There he is. You know it. I didn't do that. I did not do that. Don't you dare clip that.
I like I like the some people say. Very nice, but go ahead.
I'm just speaking fact.
Yeah. That is
okay. So this obviously just retardation. But this is what I hope y'all can help explain to me. I don't understand what this means. What are the different colors for? I guess no, because he wasn't VP. He wasn't a senator. He was governor, but she wasn't governor. So they all have blue or this purple color. They all have this red, this orangish color. But what? All government experience. Yeah, but they weren't all anything. These two Democrats, sorry, they're the Democrat over here. Obama and her were a senator, But Kennedy wasn't a senator, was he? I know Reagan wasn't. No, it says all government experience. Yeah, Reagan was a governor, but none of them were governors. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I spent like 20 minutes the other day looking at this thing. I just couldn't understand it. And I'm almost tempted to reply and ask for them to explain it. Oh, let me see if someone. Um, yeah, I don't see. There's no comment about like what the bottom one means. Yeah, that's the thing. Like that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a key to explain what the colors meant. Hmm. Oh, hey, why don't I ask Grok? Why don't I see if Grok can figure it out? Can you figure out what the colors on the bottom chart are referring to? Let's see if it gives me an answer. I honestly, I'll be kind of impressed. I'm kind of pissed off with Grok right now because I gave it like an order to only use AD and BC, and I thought I had gotten it to work. And then I asked it something today, and it gave me BCE, and I was like, "Fuck you! I told you." That's a fair point. You can make fun of me for that. Okay, so it gave me. Yeah, it can't. It's not really doing it. So it says, dark blue, 34 years for Kamala. This likely represents her total government experience, which includes DA, Attorney General, Senator, and Vice President. The problem is, it also thinks one of the people on this list is Michael Dukakis. That's fucking. It thinks JFK is Michael Dukakis. That is hilarious. No, I'm actually usually pretty polite to the AIs because I don't want them to kill me. I don't want to be murdered by them when they take over in a decade. So I'm actually usually pretty nice to them. Whoa. Is this current? Mike, no. Frank Woodruff Buckles. No, this is not current. Yeah, dude, honestly, I'll be honest. I was shocked I pronounced it correctly. That's how long it's been since I've heard that name. Nothing. This is why you stay strapped. Holy crap. Group in Halloween masks tries to break into a home and threatens the homeowners.
Open up the door! Hurry, make her way inside! Open up the door! Who is it? Open up the door before we make her way inside! Open up the door! From the back or the front, it don't matter how. Look, hold your chin! If this door doesn't open!
I'm telling y'all right now, they would not be alive the next day. I want to have nightmares about that. Holy shit. I really did not need to see that. Well, I think that's going to be it, my friends. Oh, okay. So there was, I think, guess tonight there was a debate for the Virginia Attorney General's office.
Ballot. And I find it a little bit stunning that today you say one of the pillars of your public safety platform is protecting children. Were you protecting Jennifer's children when you said you wanted to see them die in their mother's arms? How can anybody who's ever worked in any of the crimes against children, all of the areas of federal and state local law department, how can they ever take you seriously, be the top prosecutor, knowing that you view that children should die to advance a political agenda? It's unconscionable, and if you were truly sorry, you would not be running for this office because you disqualified yourself. Ballot.
I would love to see what he said. Is there an answer? I probably don't want to share this. This is probably on YouTube, don't y'all think? Virginia AG debate. He's absolutely sorry that they were made public. Yes, this is on YouTube. Please tell me I have a transcript. Yes. Excellent. Disqualified. Let's find that. Here we go. Okay. And this is where we're going to end it. We're going to end it on this. I want to see what how he answered this. Let's get some actually good.
Not be running for this office because you disqualified yourself.
Mr. Delegate Jones, I'll give you 15 seconds in rebuttal.
I just want to say that Jason had a chance to sue the Trump administration to protect money that was going to go into our law enforcement communities here in Virginia, and he didn't do it because time and time again, 50 chances, he still hasn't done it. Law enforcement, K-12 funding, workers, the list goes on and on. I think all of those people are wondering when exactly you're going to step up and protect them.
Attorney General Yours, 15 seconds to any response.
There he goes again. 15 times he said the name of the president, not one time has he said the name of victim. That tells me he's a politician, not a prosecutor. He's never prosecuted a day in his life. That's the reason why law enforcement has said he has disqualified himself. Virginians, we could do better than a left-wing politician trying to seek a promotion.
I'm just trying to work on behalf of the people who've been victimized by Donald Trump.
Thank you. We're going to move on to topic 4.
It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. They're cowards. They don't give a shit about what they say. They believe violence is the answer to everything. And honestly, they should never be, any of them should never be elected again. And I'm sitting here. I have just called them pathetic. I've said they believe in violence and they shouldn't be elected. What have I not done? I haven't told them to do, I haven't told y'all to do anything illegal. Yet, they think what I have just said equates to what those text messages say. Or they think the text messages that were leaked by whoever in that Young Republicans group chat equates to what his text messages said. FYI, people make fucked up jokes all the time. It doesn't mean they believe that the Holocaust was good or that the death of this person is a good thing. It just means that, hey, there's a fucked up joke to be made. Guys, y'all have a great day. Thank y'all so much for being here. Hopefully, there's a video out tomorrow. I hope y'all have a great night. I hope everyone remembers why they're here, what their purpose is, and go from here and do good. Remember, that's the most important thing you can